Thank you for joining me. This is Fly My Phantom. In this video, we're going to be repairing the Phantom 2 Vision Plus Wi-Fi module. Now, I have done two other videos on this. First one over 4 years ago, and the second one just over a year ago. And the reason why I'm going to do a third one is because the tool that I wrote to help you flash it has changed. I'm also going to try and answer some of the questions that have been asked in the comments on the last couple of videos. So what we're going to need is, of course, the module, your range extender. You're going to need the TTL USB adapter, which is that there. You'll notice a little jumper. If there isn't a jumper, you need to get one that's set to 5 volts. It has to be 5 volts. Screwdriver. I use this rather nice wow stick that I got purchased for me for Christmas. You're going to need a Phillips bit. Now, I also have this rather special bit. I'm not sure if you focus on that, because there's some little standoffs inside, and this is a great tool for getting them out. Flux for doing soldering with, and of course solder itself, and a razor blade. And you're also of course going to need a soldering iron. Now, I have got the KSGER system. That's the bit I use. If I can just get that to focus. Focus, please. There we go. Is that focus? That's pretty much. Yeah. Well, anyway, it's a little tiny small flat bit, which is ideal, and I set that to 400 degrees. The pads on the Wi-Fi module are about the size of a pinhead. They don't like excess heat. They don't like having the soldering iron on them for too long. If you do, you'll burn the pad off. If you burn any of the pads off, it's pretty much game over. Especially the TX and RX pads. You can always find another ground point, but you won't find a 5 volt and you won't find a TX and RX. It's really, really important you assess your skill before you even attempt this. You'll notice around the board there are plenty of spare pads. These pads aren't used in the process, so if you're not entirely sure, you can always practice on these pads, because if you do accidentally burn them off, you're not going to lose anything. The board will still work fine. So you've got maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pads, 13 pads that you can practice on. So my advice is just actually have a practice on these little pads first of all, before you go trying to attach your wires to the pads that you're going to need. Because once that pad comes off, as I said, it's game over. There are companies, I believe, who've got microscopes who can, see the trace and connect to it. I don't have any of that equipment whatsoever. So if you are going to do this, as I said, please assess your technical skill. Right, so with that in mind, you've got all the bits that you need laid out in front of you. Let's make a start and actually getting the repair done. Okay, so this is the tool we're going to be using. This is the tool that I built, the one I've updated. You'll notice it has a detected COM ports box. I will go through this more when I connect the tool up. There's a button. If you click on that, it will show you how to wire up the adapter to the board itself. And you'll notice we have the ground, the TX and the RX. These are the actual pads here that we're going to be connecting to. It's very, very important. These are the ones I said don't like too much heat. And that's the adapter. And there's also a big legend there telling you how to do it. There's also a tool we use called putty. Now, putty is a tool that we use to check that the board is ready to be flashed to. And I will again come to that in more detail when the time comes. There's the button itself to start the flashing procedure, which we're not going to cover until we flash it. Of course, there's the guide to this video. At the moment, this one is set to the old guide. I will update the tool and I will put the new links in. There's the absolutely excellent original guide by Oxstuff with a nice, easy step-by-step guide on how to actually flash this unit. Put lots of pictures and wiring diagrams there. And then at the bottom, if you like this tool, please consider buying me a coffee. There's a link to buy me a coffee. To download the tool, quite simply head over to my GitHub page here. I will put a link in the description below for it. Click on the green button marked code, and then choose to download zip, and then wait for it to download. Once it's downloaded, we'll close it out. We're going to bring up Windows Explorer. You will need a tool called WinRAR. If you're not familiar with WinRAR, simply head over to your web page and type in WinRAR, and it's the first result here. You just need to download it and install it. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the tool like this, double click on it, and it will open up here. We're going to just double click on that one, and you will find in this tool here, there won't be this one. The new tool will just have the version 7 put in it. All you're going to do is just going to double click on that and we're going to install it. And if we go into downloads, you'll see it's here. Just going to just double click on that. And then you'll see a folder called P2VP Flash Main. That name might change depending on the version of the tool. And if we go in here, you will see a P2VB Flash V7 and a V6. This is just the way I packed it at that time. When you come to use this tool, it will have just one installer file. The V7 may change to V8, V9 as I make amendments to the tool. What we now need to do is just double click the P2VB Flash installer file, at which point the installer program will pop up. And if you click on next, agree with the terms and conditions, click next. Now you'll see it has an install path. This was one of the questions I got asked. It must install into this particular path. If you don't, the VB tool won't work. I got contacted by someone who said the tool wouldn't run, kept giving errors, and I said, have you installed into the correct path? And they said no. They use the D drive to install programs. It must go into your users directory, your name, and then the folder P2VB Flash. Click on next, and it will say the destination directory doesn't exist, you want it to be created. You click on yes, and then it will install the program. Click start. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it says has been installed successfully. If you click on next and exit, you'll now see a shortcut on your desktop here to the P2VP Flash. Now this one says V7 experimental. Don't worry, that's just one I was testing with. It will just say P2VB Flash, and then there'll be a version number which, as I said, may change depending on how when I update the tool. So now we're going to install this, the TTL to USB adapter. To do that, you will need to have a micro USB plug plugged into your computer, and you just simply plug in the adapter. You'll hear it go dunk dunk dunk. Now what you need to do then is you need to open up Device Manager. Once Device Manager is open, you can see mine has installed as a USB serial port COM3. If it doesn't install, it will be up here with a little exclamation mark next to it. Then you simply need to install the drivers. To make life easier, I will include the drivers, and they will be located on your C drive, your users file, the name of your account, and in the folder P2VP Flash, and you will find them in there. No, you won't, because I've not moved them over, have we? Cut. Paste. Okay, we'll try that again. In 3, 2, 1. Now mine has installed here as a USB serial port COM3. If it hasn't installed and it's somewhere up here with a little exclamation mark next to it, then you simply need to install the drivers. To get to the drivers, you just need to open up Windows Explorer. And if you go to your C drive, go to Users, go to your name here, and then find the P2VP Flash folder. I have put the drivers in there. At some point I may update the tool to have a single button push to install the drivers, but at the moment in time I've not done that yet. Just double click it and the drivers will install, and then your USB should show here as a serial port COM3. So of course, now you've installed it, you'll now need, of course, to wire it up. I recommend using relatively thin wires. I've seen people with big thick wires. These pins are quite fine, so you need to make sure you get some, some decent thin wires. I have this little board holder, and as you can see, I've got little plugs on the end of mine. You can buy this wire with plugs from eBay. I will put a link in the same location the tools are for you. Showing somewhere you can buy these from. Having the little plugs on the end does make it a lot easier to plug onto the little TTL adapter. Double check, triple check your wiring. Make sure you use the 5 volt, the ground, the RX and the TX pads on these, and then obviously look at the picture that is in the tool and determine to make sure how you're going to actually wire this up to the board. Right, so now we are ready now to start stripping the module down and getting the repair done. Now, as I said, because you're going to be soldering these wires onto this board here, you need to maybe get like a box or something, fix this down, and then when you're ready to solder, fix the board down. I have this, as I said, this handy little board holder, which is great for me, because obviously I do quite a lot of these repairs. The thing is you don't want to have this board moving, because if you accidentally move the board, there's a chance you're going to rip one of the pads off. So try and find a way to secure your little adapter down to something and the board down to something as well. Okay, so now it's time to get this module apart. First thing you're going to need to do is get a razor blade, and we're just going to just trim under the lip of where the tape is here like this. Go all the way around, be gentle, be careful, don't cut your fingers, whatever you do. And then once you've got all the way around, dead simple, dead easy, just be very careful, don't go digging too far in. Once you've done all that and it's all been definitely cut, make sure, there you go. Get your Phillips screwdriver, magnetic one if you've got one. This wow stick comes with one of the little adapters for making the screws come out easy like that. And that one there. And then number 3. And last one. Okay, then what you do, you just peel the lid off like this, and you'll find sometimes that the second board, which is this one here, comes out with that. If it doesn't, just be careful, there's always this bloody horrible paste on it. And you'll notice a little clip here and a little socket there that I normally just push together. When you're reassembling it, just be very gentle, and you should hear a click as it goes together. Put that to one side, you're not going to need that for the moment. Now you've got these post screws here, can you see them there? If I can get that to focus, I'm sure they're using these type of cameras. That's where this little handy tool comes in for removing these post screws. I'm going to take all the 4 out. One. I used to use a flat blade and just have to spin it round because it's the only way I could do it for a long time, until I was lucky enough to get this wow stick for Christmas. And that was a blessing, although it did take me a long time to realise that this little screw head was in here, because it comes with about, I don't know, 200 different screwdriver types. This is just an example of some of the screwdriver bits the wow stick comes with. That's probably about, I don't know, a fifth. So 3 more tubes with them all in. Alright, little plastic plate will come off the back, put that to one side. And all you need to do is just gently lift this up. You can use a flat blade, I'll just use that for now. On the back of here, on some of them, not all of them, is this little rubber cover. Don't worry if you don't have one. As I said, some didn't come with that little rubber cover. But that's the back there. We're now ready now to get this set up and connected to wires. You'll notice this has already got solder on. This was a previously repaired one where the owner left it to sit for months. And if you don't power these up at least monthly, they will go bad again. So it's always worth, if you're going to spend this amount of time learning this, fixing this, it's always worth it to make sure you power up your quad monthly at the very least, just to ensure. But on saying that though, I have people who've sworn blind, they've powered these up monthly and it's still not worked, so they sent it back for a reflash. And so yeah, you might have to end up doing this again at some point, so don't throw any of this gear away because you might end up needing it. Okay, so let's get this board wired up. As I said, I've got my nice little holder here, which makes it easy for me. And my little rig all ready and set up. So I already know which order these go in because I use this rig on a regular basis, but don't forget, TX from here goes to RX on here, and RX on here goes to TX on here. Don't get the wrong way around, or else it won't work, it just won't do anything in the putty tool, which I will show you in a moment. Now just give me a second, let's get these wires soldered on. I've just put some flux on the board to assist with the soldering. So that one goes on there, and they go on there, and that goes on there like that. Okay, so with that all soldered up, I'll put my soldering iron out of the way for a second and take off my big specs. I am wearing glasses, so these little tiny things can be very hard to see. Alright, so that's the board all wired up, as you can see. I've got my RX, my TX and my ground, my power and my boot loop there as per the instructions. Okay, so we're going to get this plugged in now and we're going to run the software on it, so just bear with me while I just plug that in and hopefully you'll hear Windows find it. Let's switch over to the desktop where we are now going to run the tool. Okay, let's put it in the middle of the screen so we can see it a bit better. Now here, if I drop this box down, you will see it shows COM1 and COM3. Well, we already know this is COM3 because we saw it before in Device Manager. but just in case, I just thought I'd put this little thing in. At some point, this tool will let you choose that particular COM port, and then that will then do the flashing for you. I haven't got that far with it yet, that might be version 10. So wiring the TTL board to the adapter picture. Yep, we know we've got it all wired up correctly, so we're good to go. So what we're going to do, we're going to run putty. We need putty to check whether it's ready to take the flash program. To run putty is really, really easy. I've already got it configured for my COM3, I've saved it, I'll show you how to do that. All you need to do is change this to serial here, and we're going to change this COM1, and we're going to change it to COM3. Just change the speed here to 115/200. Very important you do that, or else the flash won't work. Then we're ready to open connect to it. Now you can just save it if you want to, as I've done here. So I'm going to click on COM3 and I'm going to click open. You'll now see the output from putty showing boot me, boot me, boot me on a loop. This means that this board is now ready to receive its flash program. We want to close the session? Yes, we do. Never leave putty open because the flash won't work because the port's being taken by putty. And then we're going to click start the flashing procedure. Okay, it says, do you know the COM port you are using? Yes, we know the COM port, we know it's COM3. So we're going to put yes in there. What is your port number? In there, we're going to put port 3. So once we've done that, we're just going to press enter. And it says, I will now start the flash process. Okay, here we go. So it's now programming it. It's running through, doing what it should do. Now this is an automated program, don't touch anything. It'll run through and it'll do the same thing twice. Now this is the point where it can go wrong. If nothing happens after this apart from a loop round saying can't flash and etc., then this board is not repairable. Okay, if you get anything other than what's being shown on the screen currently, that board has failed to the point where you cannot repair it. So we'll just let it finish downloading its program to it, sending image data. Only takes about a minute or so. Once that's done, it'll just do the final bit of reading and writing, and it'll say operation completed. And that is it, all done. Now remove the boot loop jumper wire and check using put that the board outputs the correct information. Don't forget to leave a comment on the video, and if you have followed the guide, then please consider making a donation to Oxstuff. Press any key. Okay, I'm going to close that out now. So now what we're going to do, we're going to just unplug, and we are going to remove the boot jump wire here. Grab your soldering iron. We'll just take that wire off, because we don't need that anymore. I'll put that to one side. And what we're going to do, we're going to plug this back in again, and we're going to check the output on putty. So we're going to go back to there. I'm going to open putty. And you'll now see on the screen in front of you is output from the board. This is the board actually booting up and running through looking for its system and things connected to it, etc, etc. This shows that this board has now been flashed. But again, a small proviso. Even though it shows this, you will sometimes still have a black screen. Again, if you haven't got this far and you haven't got this output, but you still got a black screen, there is nothing you can do. It's just the board itself has failed. Okay, and with that done, time to unplug, and we'll take off the wires that are attached to it. Again, be very gentle when you're taking them off. You don't want to pull a pad off, so just heat them up until they just literally just fall off like this. Now what you can do if you want, if you've used flux, is just use a bit of IPA just to clean the board off. I will save that for you to do if you want to. So let's put my little holder out the way. All we need to do now is to plug this all together and give it a test. So rather than me do all this in front of you, it's just a reverse operation of the opening procedure. Put everything back and screw it together. Okay, and with that all back together again, it's now time to test the unit. So I need my test rig, which is this whole thing here. You've seen this before if you've watched the previous repair video. This is basically a Phantom 2 Vision with no motor arms or anything on it. I'm going to just pop that on there like that. I'm going to plug that in. I'll put all the wires in, just the essential ones. Okay, I'm going to turn on the range extender, which thankfully has got battery life. I'm going to power up the test rig. Make sure that camera still works. There we go, that's still working fine. That. Grab the iPad, which I use for testing. If you have one of the later versions of iPad, it probably may not work on them. You need something that's on iOS 12 or below. I need to go into Wi-Fi. Let's go down to Wi-Fi, and we're looking for the PS network. And it comes up. Let's turn that screen brightness down a bit. Ooh. There's the brightness on there. There we go. Let's turn that brightness down a touch so you can see it properly. There we go. Phantom Wi-Fi has now appeared, as you can see on the screen there. Once that connects up, we're going to just open the app. There we go. We're going to open the DJI Vision app, turn the camera on its side like so, press the camera button, and if all has worked the way it should do, we should now have output on this module. First time it may just take a few seconds, but there you go, there's the output, there's the screen, there's the camera working, and as you can see, that module has now been repaired. Right, so that is it. The module has been repaired. I will replace the tape on this before I send it back. But that's it. That's easy and simple. It doesn't take long. 5 or 10 minutes. Well, it takes me 5 or 10 minutes because I've done so many of these. I think I've covered everything. If you do have any more questions, then please do leave me a comment below. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I think that's it. So good luck in your endeavour to fix your Wi-Fi module. But if you don't want to, there's an email link in the description box if you drop me an email. I do repairs in the UK and Oxdove does them on the American side. So get in touch, let me know where you are, and I will advise you accordingly. Other than that, thanks very much for watching, take care, and as always, fly safely.